What's going on, guys? Will Brooks here with another session of the Thoughts Out Loud experiment. This is section 69. Trying to figure out something to do for special for 70. I'm here in the car, obviously. Things got a little. I woke up a little late this morning, slept in. I recorded a podcast episode last night that was that interesting enough. So here's the deal. What I normally do is I record my podcast and edit it back to back the same day, and usually after recording something, immediately editing it, immediately editing it, you're kind of still in the recording phase, so to speak. I don't know how to explain that or how I could word that the right way. You just recorded it. Your mind is still on what you were saying, and so it probably, so I don't know, maybe it's a good place to record, maybe it's a bad place to record, but I notice a difference when I record a podcast episode. Excuse me, not a bad place to record, a bad place to edit. I notice a difference when I record a podcast and edit immediately after than when I record a podcast and come back later and edit. And I like coming back later and editing my podcast. I'm sorry, you're probably getting some sound going on there. Here's the deal. I went back this morning. So I recorded last night. Didn't get done until 10:30. And I said, let me go to sleep so I can wake up early. That didn't happen. But when I woke up and listened to the podcast, I was removed from it enough. Of course, it's not like I was listening to it for the first time. But I was genuinely interested in the podcast. I was genuinely interested in the topic, and I'm the one who recorded it. So it's a much better place to record, or a much better place to edit, because you're kind of I got some sleep on it, basically, so to speak. And I like this podcast episode. I think this is probably one of the better ones that I've done. It's weird to listen to me ramble. I don't really like to listen to myself ramble, which is all Thoughts Out Loud is. It's probably the worst place to say something like that. But it's the truth. I don't really like to listen to myself ramble because I don't like the way I talk. I'm not a big fan of the way I talk. Certain people can ramble on, and I can listen to them for a long time. None of them come to mind. What is it? Russell Brand is my most recent. I can just listen to this dude ramble on and on, even though he's not talking about, or even though he's easy to follow. See what I just did there is probably kind of the problem. My mouth doesn't move as fast as my brain is moving. In my head, I said a full thought and then went on to the next thing. But by the time it got to my mouth, it was just okay, just truncate that and then go with the actual point that he's making right now. So that's kind of hard to listen to. But since last night's topic was was the obvious tension between North Korea, South Korea, and the U.S., and I'm in the process, and I was just giving my spill on how it's a little bit different. So this time, because provocations or tensions between North and South are high all the time, and the U.S. is usually playing a backfield, and I'm not gonna go into it here. That's what the freaking podcast is for. But it's even me listening to it, it was this is gonna be a good topic. Now, what I might do is something that I really don't like to do, is I might actually go back, listen to it. It's 40 minutes long, and maybe that's enough time to cover. Maybe that's an appropriate amount of time. People ask, how long should your podcast be, or how long should your blog post be? And usually the answer is long enough. And maybe that's what is going on with this podcast. I'm thinking of doing two different things with it. I'm either going to just release it in its raw form, as just as it is, with zero edits, because I'm tempted to do that. Because the thoughts, it's pretty genuine in how it flows. It's pretty, it's just me kind of spitballing. I got a very, very small outline of the things I want to talk about, and it's me kind of spitballing, going through and just talking about it. So there are some moments where I'm me, I'm doing what I do, which is kind of get lost in thought a little bit and bring it back. And the segues aren't actually visible. The segues that are happening in my head aren't happening in the audio input, so to speak. So sometimes I get to places where sometimes I worry that I get to places or get on topics that people are like, how is he there? Why is he talking about that? We were just talking about orange juice, and now he's talking about sewers. Like, so, like, where's the connect? And I worry about that sometimes, but after listening to this, I think at least the first half of it, I did a decent job, since I don't want to talk too much trash about Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un, or I don't know, and the Koreans. I don't want to talk too much garbage. Like, I want to get my thoughts across effectively, so nobody can kind of twist my words and say I was saying this, and then nobody can kind of. One of the problems I see when people talk about Trump's shortcomings is they kind of generalize. They give the opposition, or they give people who are going to make opposite arguments, a lot of room to wiggle. And I don't like to do that. That's why I'm a little bit more careful with what I say when I talk about them, because this madness that, that things would be so much easier for another person, and not madness, but this insinuation that things would obviously be better for another. He's obviously in cahoots with Russia. He's obviously when it's not that obvious, that's not the only answer. That's not the only possibility. I think those arguments, when people make those type of arguments, they leave themselves open for counterpunches and things like that. So I was really careful to an extent in how I was covering the topic, still saying what I want to say, but kind of making sure I'm not, just blurting out, random things from an emotional point, but from, a realistic point, because this is all realistic. It's a realistic explanation of my emotions watching all this happen, all this unfold, so to speak. I mean, this could end pretty badly. So I think I'm thinking about either just releasing it in its full form, or going through and listening to it myself, putting the points that I make down, and then going back and re-recording it, or going through those points a little bit more, making sure I hit the points that I want to hit. Because I did spend a lot of time on things that I really don't think are important, really things that I really that I don't care whether they're in or out of the episode. So things like that, it's okay to do things like that if you're the type of person to take action like right away. Like, if I don't do it right away, like if I don't get it done by lunch, I'm just going to release it in its raw form. But if I do go through and listen to it and get down and get to the points that I want to make, and get that outline, that new and improved version of the outline I was using down, and kind of reorder it to where it's coherent and cohesive, then I'm going to re-record it at lunch. Normally I won't do that, but I think this topic at this time, it should have that it should be well crafted. It's just my take on it. So I don't know. Usually I'm not really for that. No, put it out there and be done with it, and then get on to the next piece of content. So in some cases it's what is it? Volume over value. But I don't think this is one of those cases. That's definitely the approach I'm taking with the rest of the stuff. But this one right here, I really want to spend some time on and make sure I get it right, and make sure people understand what we are feeling over here, for a couple of reasons. One, the over-sensationalization of the media. The topic, it just gets over-sensationalized in the media. And two, I got family members that are wondering what's going on and what we're thinking as expats here in Korea. So that's what I got going on today. That's what's going to be my focus. Of course, it's Thursday. Thursday's podcast day, so that's always the main focus on Thursday for me. What's your focus on Thursday? Let me know in the comments. Go ahead and like this video if you like it. Please subscribe if you want to see more of Thoughts Out Loud and anything on All Things Will. Those other videos are coming. I promise. I know I owe you guys. I really am sorry, but it's been it's really, really tough. Tomorrow's video, or tomorrow Thoughts Out Loud Thoughts Out Loud session is going to be about what happens when I try to edit and when I try to create at home, because it's nerve-wracking. It's temporary because until I get more frequent, but it's nerve-wracking. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know what your take on re-recording data is, or re-recording and recreating stuff is that you think is not imperfect. I know some of you are going to be like, don't ever recreate anything. Let me know what your take is when when part of you really thinks that it should be redone. I'm gonna get out of here, guys. You have a great day. We'll see you in tomorrow's Thoughts Out Loud.